Today I'm doing something a lot different than I've done in a while on my channel here, and I have gotten Whitesy, who is by far my favorite new YouTuber in the home recording world on YouTube. If you guys don't know his channel, you probably already do because I talk about him a bunch on my channel, but it's Whitesy Studio. Obviously, there's going to be a link down below. But anyway, hey man, welcome to the channel. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Fire me your questions.
Okay.
Find out if I'm snake oil.
Yeah, well, this is the snake oil guy. So that is by far one of my favorite things that you've done, like sort of the sort of no-nonsense reviews of plugins and equipment and stuff. That is, you just do it better than most people. Everybody always gives positive reviews for everything. So that was something that initially sort of impressed me with your channel. But then beyond that, it was sort of your overall knowledge of the engineering side, the technical side. I mean, your first video on mono, what was it? I was looking at it the other day. I should have checked before today, but
face response.
I really learned something from that. You know, it was a two-part thing. But yeah, in that original video, I remember watching that video not when it first came out, but like a few weeks ago for the first time, and was like, man, his knowledge, just like your knowledge is very, very impressive. So the kinds of questions I'm going to be asking you today are going to be sort of, I think, questions a lot of people on my channel, a lot of beginners would like to know, like sort of answers from someone like you who have this like very vast knowledge of the technical side of it. Okay. I wanted to ask you what you thought about, like, what kind of acoustic treatment kind of stuff would you advise beginners to get? Like, do you like the Auralex foam, or do you like, sound panels? What do you like?
No, actually, acoustics is actually also an area where there's a lot of snake oil. And if we look at beginners, then the biggest problem for beginners is actually bass response. All the other stuff doesn't matter at first. Like if you don't have a good bass response in your room, then why treat something else? So I'm a big fan of bass trapping, and good bass traps are they're not for sale. You have to make them yourself. So if you look at that Auralex, that foam stuff, like I think I have, like something like this. This is gray foam, but it's like I can breathe through it. Like if I can just get air through the foam. So low frequencies, which is actually air movement. Every single sound is air movement, but low frequencies, you see the speaker moving. It goes right through it, so it doesn't do anything. And what a bass trap does, it has a membrane, it's very heavy, and it is most of the times tuned. Are actually just holes in the wall. So for a frequency, for sound, it's traveling through your room, and it's not bouncing back from the wall. It's going in there, and it's never coming back again. What the problem is in most rooms is actually that the bass comes through your ears directly from the speaker and bounces from the wall to your ears. But sound only travels at 334 meters per second, so it's actually pretty slow. So by the time it came to your ears from the reflection from the wall, it's actually out of phase. That's actually what my first video is about, so go watch it. So that's why you need a bass trap on that position, because then there's a hole, then it's not coming back. It's really counterintuitive, actually. Like, you think like you have a bass trap that is taking the bass out of the room, and you're getting more bass on your sweet spot. That's strange, but that's actually how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Once I got I got some nice broadband panels there's a company called John Hunter Acoustics. I bought a bunch of panels from him. And so like that one right behind my head, at the first point of reflection, that like just putting that one up, and then I hadn't even put all of them up yet, and I pushed play on something, and like you just said there, the bass in my sweet spot was so much better. It was really, really impressive.
Yeah, and another thing for room acoustics is look at flutter echo. That was a big problem in my room when it was built. It was a lot of flutter, and we have those. Yeah, I call them tampons. Maybe it's not nice to say that for other women, but it's doing the same thing, but with sound. And they are really like diffusing and absorbing the sound. I think it's absorbing all the flutters in the room, because that makes it really annoying to listen to. And from there, if you've got a good bass response and a room that is like controlled enough to sit quietly, like if you clap in your hands, you don't have any bouncing. From there, you go to your first reflection points and get some acoustic foam. And then you can go to the companies for the foam, put it over there. But that's all like lower priority. Like the bass response and echoing is the first thing.
Huh.
And for beginners, it's actually a big leap you can.
Did you build your own bass traps? And wait, let me ask. What are the tampons made out of back behind your head?
Melanine. It's the Dutch word. It's a special acoustic foam, which is actually really like if you look at this foam, this is like a super cheap panel.
Right.
The foam on those things is more dense, so it works in a broader frequency range. Because that's actually how you can judge a good panel or a bad panel, I think.
Right.
Interesting. Well, cool. I think that probably answered a lot of people's questions. So bass traps. Start with bass traps.
Bass traps, and the best thing is build it yourself. And now I'm going to give away a good tip. Go to Google and Google Tim's Limp Mass Bass Traps. You get the first result from Gearsluts, and everything you need to know about bass trapping in the way that I'm doing in my room is in there.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure to like write that out and put that in the more info area. Yeah. We'll put that down below for you guys. Yeah, we can put a link for that search. Good idea. Okay, so next up, are there any microphones under $500 that you really like?
Whoo! How much does the SM7 cost?
Yeah, I think it's like $350.
Yeah, it's not expensive, right? No. And the whole Michael Jackson, all the Michael Jackson stuff is made on an SM7. So
exactly.
If you want to hear some names, then there they are. That's a good question. Good question. Because I'm really, the fact that Sound Vision Studio is behind that wall makes me like not a very good microphone person. Like,
right.
$500. It's actually like the manufacturing techniques have become so good that there's actually like I tested those like cheap microphones. What were they? Like $10 microphones or what was it?
It was like the cheapest microphone on Amazon or something like that. Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't that bad for the price. Like the manufacturing techniques are getting so good that it's possible to produce them for a lower price. On the other hand, don't expect U47 performance from that microphone. That's also my biggest trouble with the whole industry. Like, it will be a good microphone. I don't have any names right now, but it will be a good microphone, but really expect the amount of quality from the price that you're paying. If they say that it is one of the best microphones in the world and the price is really low, then you're almost certainly know that it's not a good microphone. Because the more people need to talk about the quality of a product, the worse it is. That's just as simple. And you see that everywhere in the industry.
Yeah, that's true. I'll say this, like on the topic, I got like one of the very first microphones I ever got to review was the AKG P420. And that has a circuit clone of the U87. And I like reviewed it and then I sort of put it away and I never touched it again. And then I started the Music Monday program, like that whole series. And I was like, I want to use every single microphone I have and just to do that, just to hear them and work with them. And that the AKG P420 has been like the biggest surprise of any of things that I've sort of pulled back out from the past. That thing is, I mean, it's not a U87, but the circuit is a clone of the U87.
There was actually, what I heard, there was one microphone that I was really impressed about. Let me see if I can find it, because then we have a name. Oh, the T-Bone Retro Tube.
Oh.
I've seen that one. Yeah. I wouldn't have guessed
the retro
that.
Tube
that.
One of those tube microphones from Thomann.
You have one or heard one and you liked it?
I heard one in a different studio and it was actually very surprising. I should actually buy one for the next Cobra Grease series.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
To test it and then, But for me, microphone testing is very difficult. That's also why I don't do it a lot. It's good to add. Like if I want to test a microphone, then I need a musician, and I need to book the studio, and it's a lot of hassle to do a microphone review. I can not do it myself. I need a lot of people for that. So that's why I have some plans for microphone reviews, but not right now. Like I'm not in that phase.
Okay.
Well, that makes me want to ask my next question. Do you play any instruments or do anything like that?
I played a saxophone. I played it in a marching band. So it's not very special, but it learned me a lot about music. I mean, playing an instrument learned me a lot. Bad thing about a saxophone is it doesn't have chords, so my chord knowledge is not that good. But I can read sheet music, and that's like really handy. I'm one, when there's an orchestral session, I can just read the whole sheet music. I just know what they're doing.
Right.
But to learn chords, I'm now playing guitar, but also like just to play around, not something serious. So, in general, I don't play an instrument.
So I wanted to ask you, so your channel is about to be 2 years old. It's August 16th. Will be your 2-year anniversary.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I know.
That. Okay.
I know.
That's a big
2 years. I think 3 years. 3 years. Then.
Oh yeah, 3 years. 2016, right? 3 years old. And I was just wondering. So when you decided to start a YouTube channel based on recording, like, I mean, there's my channel, there's Recording Revolution, there's Produce Like a Pro. There's already a bunch of channels doing it. Was there some void that you were thinking, I want to do this because of I see something missing?
No, I did it. I did do it without any knowledge at all. That's how I start most of my projects. Having a lot of knowledge of a subject or doing a lot of research can also work as a limiter. Like it will limit you from doing something. And I'm more like, let's do it and let's just see what will happen. And that's how I started YouTube. I actually had a vlogging channel before Whitesea Studio. And it was really just to find out, like, how do you actually make a video? And I did that. I think I made 100 videos or something. Nothing special. I think they're all gone now, but maybe everybody's going to search now. But that's how I started with vlogging. And then I was like, now let's do something serious. Let's just start making videos on YouTube with the name Whitesea Studio, which is my studio name. And it would be nice if that, starts up a bit and get me maybe a few more clients or something. So it was, there were a few pillars, there were a few reasons why I started. Like sometimes I had just time and I was like, what am I going to do? Well, let's make a video. Now that was a luxury back then that I don't have right now anymore. It was also like because of income. Like if it would grow, then it's nice to have a second source of income. Because those are things that you also think about when you're self-employed. Like that kind of reasons. I think the main reason was just like to see if I could promote my studio a bit more.
Right.
And apart from that, there was actually no single reason. I didn't even do research because I'm still not watching audio-related YouTube channels. I just don't. When I'm on YouTube, I'm looking at Apollo landings and Chernobyl stuff, and that's actually everything I do on YouTube.
That's pretty funny. One of the things that I saw you, it was just sort of a side note that you were talking about. I don't remember exactly what video, but you were talking about getting that like huge spreaded, the big sort of like modern pop sound, which has a huge spread across it. And you said, and maybe it was a mastering video or something like that. But you said by the time you get to this point, you should already have that big spread sound. So there, like Waves makes that. I think it's just called the spreader or something like that. You know the plugin I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And they always, and I know a lot of people out there own it because I know a lot of people own it. But I think most people just drop it into their master bus and sort of turn it on and like turn the width control all the way up and then go. Right. So I was wondering if you had any good tips for people to help get that sort of big stereo spread, especially if you're a beginner trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, well, there are a few things that but maybe I do them because I work on an analog console. The thing is, one of the things with stereo spread, for instance, on an EDM track with synthesizers, I have to EQ left and right, like both. I have two EQs. I don't have one EQ. Like in your DAW, you have one EQ for both channels. They are variable, so they are not stepped, like the EQs that I use for them the most. They are never precise on the same frequency on the left and the right channel. And what I do most of the time is actually on purpose make them, a bit different on left and right. And that actually pulls your whole stereo image way wider. I'm a big fan of boosting instead of cutting. So sometimes on the left channel, I'm boosting on 1 kilohertz, and on the right channel, I'm boosting at 1.5 or even 2 kilohertz. And then it pulls it wide. So that's one of the tricks that I use. I'm not really using tricks, actually. It's apart from that. Like it's
the method.
Yeah, let me think. I'm actually always working on getting it a bit less wide, actually, to make the low end mono and get the width under control. So maybe it's a side effect of having all the channels go through an analog console. I actually don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. So
everything as a stereo track?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's actually a new method that I now have with working with analog equipment in terms of workflow and routing in Reaper, which I'm going to make a video about soon. So that's a plug for that video. But it makes it way better to keep an overview, because if you're making a new channel and recording your result in a new channel, then you quickly get lost in all the channels. And now I found a way to create it in a new playlist. But you're also using like the reinsert plugin, which is also very good for overview because you can quickly see what you're actually inserting. But because I can print it, it's also good because you don't have to recall all the time, because that's recalling is shit.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, I asked that question about recording in stereo mono because I mean, have you ever used GarageBand in your life?
No.
You should play with it. It's very fun. But one of the limitations is like most people, like if you have some like little Focusrite interface or something and you have one microphone plugged into channel 1 and you say I want to record a stereo track, all you get is information on the left channel.
Okay, that's weird.
Right? I agree that it's weird. I wish that you could, I mean, that's what it does. It reads it as information from channel 1, and there's no way to sum that input, right, to GarageBand at least. So everything most people do in GarageBand is recorded in mono, unless you're using a USB microphone, in that case, GarageBand will happily record it as stereo.
That's the strangest thing ever.
I know. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think of it more as, I think GarageBand is like a glorified 4-track cassette tape recorder. You know what I mean? Like it does all the editing and stuff, of course, but in that sense where you're just able basically to record mono tracks, unless you're using a stereo microphone or unless you're using 2 microphones at a time. I could record a stereo track that way, of course. But if I have one microphone plugged into channel 1 and I tell GarageBand to record in stereo, I just get information on the left-hand side. It's it's one of those many limitations that we deal with. So if, I don't know if, and I wanted to mention it to you guys out there that he's doing a thing where it seems like you're looking for people's songs to mix in a video, right?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm not looking for people anymore because I have a lot of songs now.
Well, I sent you one today. I was like going over your website and I was like, ooh, I'll send him a song. That'd be fun.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I thought it might be, it'd be nice to hear something that I like the mix that I made, but I was like, I wonder what he would do with that,
Maybe we can do that. Like I can mix, like you've made your mix and I make my mix, and then we'll see. That's a good thing. The thing with that people can send me files. It's still open. It's ytstudio.com/mixfix. Like there's just a contact form on there, and you can just quickly fill it in. And I'm going through it all. I'm not emailing everybody back because that's too much time. But if there's something that's interesting for whatever reason, then I'll contact you, and then you have to sign a license agreement and stuff. The reason why I'm doing that in this way is I cannot use my client's music. Like, it's forbidden. Like, it's a general non-disclosure that you have as an engineer. And also like things that I say to clients if they want to know, like everything in my studio is secret. Like the client is the boss over their files. So I need music from people that want me to use it. And from there, I need like license agreement. And I think that you know what I'm talking about. Like music on YouTube is difficult. Let's just say, like it's super difficult to get your to keep your channel clear of copyright infringement if you're running a music-based channel. That's super weird. So that's also the reason why I always use those elevator music things in the Snake Oil series, because I don't have another choice. Like other music is copyright infringement. I cannot do that. I have an opinion about copyright infringement, but I don't think that it's a good time right now because.
Yeah, we don't want to we don't want to go on that topic because I probably agree with you.
I will go on for 30 minutes about copyright because I'm a big fan of copyright, but not in the way it's been done right now.
I know we probably agree on that without having to talk about it.
Let me quickly turn on the charger for my camera because otherwise.
Okay.
Whoa. Now I got a power outage. 1 second, let me.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so maybe that's cool if you want to use this in the edit. So what just happened, I turned on the whole studio at once. I shouldn't do that. Let's just start with that. Now, why is it that if you are starting up a studio, like a bit bigger studio, that almost always that the fuse blows? It's for a very simple reason, and that is that in audio equipment, we are really focused on getting a stable power supply path. So what is in there, like the amplifiers from our speakers, but also the power supply for the Neumann console, are huge capacitors. And as soon as you turn on the power, when they have been off for a few hours, they are completely empty. So they have a resistance, this is for the more technical people, they have a resistance of almost 0 ohm. And if you put 220 volts over there, or whatever the voltage is, calculate the amperage, and it's way too high for a fuse. Now, what a lot of people do is they change the fuse in their box. What is it? Fuse box, like from their home or something. And I wouldn't recommend doing that. Only if it's done by a technician that knows what he is doing and like really knows what he is doing. Like in Holland, we have different characters like A, B, and C. C is a slow character, so that will deal with the initial spike because you only have an initial spike. But if there's resistance on the cable going to the room or some other stuff, then it's actually super dangerous and can create a fire. So it's better, if you don't know what you're doing, it's better to just switch everything on one by one slowly, which I wasn't doing right now. I have like two switches like to stage it.
Right.
But never change like a fuse without really having measured if it's actually possible. That's one of the quick things. But that's because this happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shared it.
Right. Okay, so one thing, do you compress, when you're recording, like, I mean, on my channel, a lot of people, we're just like basically musicians at home recording like guitars and pianos and voices and stuff. Do you compress everything on the way in, or do you like to compress it later when you're mixing?
I compress nothing on the way in. I really like, having... the preamp and then directly into the interface and just record it that way so that I can go all directions with it. What happens during recording a lot is that people get excited, like, oh, wow. And when you're excited in your head, you cannot really make good decisions over what you're actually doing. So you're compressing and you're making something and you think it's cool. And that's also a thing we all have with mixes. The next day, it's completely shit. And the thing is, if you do it on the way in, and you have a whole band sitting there that play the whole day, then it's basically already ruined, and you need way more time to get that going again. To most of the times when you have compression on it or EQ or whatever, you can resolve it, but not always. So it's better to just have it from the preamp out. Makes it more difficult to create the music because it's you get a very honest view about yourself or about the musicians that are playing. But on the other hand, it also improves the performance because you have that honest view about it. So what happens in our studio, not a lot, but sometimes, is that a drummer is just not playing powerful enough. And you will only recognize it in the studio without anything inserted on it, like the real signal. And then you can, instead of putting compression in it in the mix, fix it in the recording. And it's, where most problems are is between the chair and the microphone, as harsh as it sounds. But a very good playing musician, I actually recorded a very good drummer last week here, doesn't need a lot of treatment.
Right.
It's actually very difficult to make a bad recording of a good musician. Like, put the cheapest microphone in front of it, record it on your iPhone with the iPhone microphone, and it still sounds good. And that's because the musician is playing good. So my recommendation is use the pure signal and stay minimalistic, even in the mix. Like, also keep it minimalistic. The more you need to do in the mix, the worse the production actually is.
Right. I talk about that all the time.
For some music genres, it's actually they really need some treatment. Like EDM needs really that pumping bass and what is it? Sidechain compression.
Sidechain compression.
Yeah.
Of course, and other styles need their own treatment. But in general, as soon as you need to search, then there's already something that has gone terribly wrong. So, yeah.
So how long do you, like, what's the longest you mix for before you take a break? Like, is there like a certain amount of time where you're like, oh, that's enough? Or is there a certain way that you know for sure that you've mixed for too long?
I think I get easily triggered at the moment that I'm, I just know when I need to stop. And usually that is 30 minutes or something, 30 or 40 minutes. And then I take a break for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like, I walk out of the studio, get some coffee or tea. I think actually the tea is actually the trigger. Like, when there's no tea in the cup anymore, then I need to make a break. Like, that's around 30 to 40 minutes. But I also hear it, like, I'm just listening and I'm like, I don't know what I'm judging right now. What is a good thing? Like, if there's nobody in the rest of the building, what I do is I go to the cafe, but I leave the volume open on a higher volume. And then I'm just standing in the cafe, like, checking the whole phone stuff, the super annoying stuff, reading my email. And then while I'm not focused at it, while I'm in the background, I suddenly have, wait, now I know what to do to the guitar or whatever. And then I go back into the mix and then that's what I do. But I really, 30 to 40 minutes and then a 10-minute break. And then, go again for 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah, I don't know what you do actually. What is your rule?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, when I can't decide like what I'm doing, is it making it better? Or there's also like a point for my ears where I just can't hear anything. Like, I can't hear the difference between the guitar or the bass, you know what I mean? Like, or I can't hear what's wrong with them and what needs to be done for me, and that's one of the biggest problems with my Music Monday program. I don't know if you know, but it's like, I wake up, I write the song, I record the song, I mix it, I master, and then I shoot a video, and then Monday night it comes out. So it's like an all day marathon, and it has, there's certainly been times where I'm sitting here till like 2:30 in the morning and like making a new mix. And I know that my ears are finished, and there's just like, it's part of the problem is because I have to make the video. It's the self-imposed deadline thing. So it has to come out. It's part of the process. So I've noticed, like, for me in particular, like, when I listen back the next day, I'm like, God, where are the drums? Or where's the bass? Like, it sounded like there was so much bass in that mix yesterday. When I went to bed, I was like, God, that was so bass heavy. And then I wake up and I'm like, where's the bass? you know? So because I've done that so much now, I'm starting to learn just like, if I think there's a lot of bass, there's probably not as much as I think, and it's just because that's the part of my hearing that starts going after. It's like basically most of those Music Monday songs are like 12 to 14 hours straight in this room. But we start with writing and stuff.
it's also a brain thing, I think. Like your brain just gets tired. It just needs to spend some time on something else. I think that's actually because I don't know if this is a fact, but when you're working with music, your left and right brain have to work. Like normally it's only one of the two halves that's like has a dominant factor. But when you're working on music,
Right.
you need both brains. And I think it's also for mixing because you need your creative side and you need your technical side. So so it's burning a lot of fuel and it really needs some rest after 40 minutes.
Definitely. So now I have one last thing I wanted to ask you. Do you have any plans on reviewing the Slate digital microphones, like the ML1 and the ML2, with those, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. I don't have a real plan. I don't have a real plan yet. Again, doing a proper microphone review is difficult. But also Slate is a company that I'm really careful with. Same goes for Acoustica Audio. The thing is, I sometimes have to be harsh, but I don't want it. If you know what I mean, that sounds weird, but I just, one of the goals that I had in my mind when I started the YouTube channel was be honest to your viewers. And sometimes I just don't want to be honest, and instead of lying, I'm just not making the video. And with Slate, there's actually it's such an island actually. I think I have to really read into it and really find a proper way to check those microphones, because I already saw some specifications of which I was thinking like, okay, that's weird. Like there was something was not really related to the microphone; it was more related to the interface that comes with it. There was something with an op-amp design where I was thinking like, I want to know how that looks like in the schematic, because that could also be a bad thing with ringing and stuff. But
Warren likes it. Warren Hewart, or however you say his name, from Produce Like a Pro, he likes it.
Yeah, but he also liked the Abbey Road plugin. So sorry, Warren. I know. I'll text you right now. No, I'm actually I have good contact with Warren. I have contact with you and other YouTubers as well, and they make their content, I make my content.
Yeah.
But to come back to the Slate microphone, I will do it. But it could easily take a year or even longer.
Right. No, because I've been curious about it too, but I didn't want to invest the money. Like, I don't know. I wonder about that kind of stuff, because I know, like, it's basically some, microphone that's made in Asia somewhere, and then they run it through their interface and then through their software. And sometimes I wonder, like, couldn't I just make that same sound with a little bit of EQ or a little bit of compression or something? Couldn't I just do that already through my SM7 or through one of the condensers that I already own? I'd love to try that microphone out, but I haven't really.
But I don't know if you've seen the video that I did on the cheap microphones, and then there was a second video where I tried to create the U47 sound from the cheap microphones. And it's actually, you can get super close.
I did see that one.
Yeah.
There's like microphones, there's so much about it. Like if you look at, for instance, the U47, like all the details behind it, like I cannot imagine how you can record something with a different microphone, with a different pickup pattern, with a different, like, how can you manipulate that in such a way that it really gets to be that sound? Like, I think you can come close, but I don't think you can get it spot on. Like, not yet. Like, not right now with modern day technologies.
No, not yet.
Here's a thing that you should look at, like, and this is going to be a guess, but I'm pretty sure about my guess. Like, we have the Slate microphones right now. And I think, and what are they saying about it right now? We should actually screenshot that or, save it somewhere. Like, it's the best and blah, blah, blah. And like, it isn't going to get better. And like, I don't know what they're saying. I don't have it in front of me. So don't blame me if I'm wrong. But I think there's some kind of marketing blah, blah like that. 2, 3, maybe
course.
5 years from now, they're going to come up with a V2, version 2, which is even better than the one before. And then I'm like, okay, but how can you simulate a microphone better if the first one was already doing it like no compromises and everything? Like, how can you make it better while it already was the best? So you weren't actually simulating the microphones then. There was something wrong with it. And you knew it from the beginning, like the real audio experts, like the professors. I'm not an audio professor, but I'm in contact with a few, so it's really interesting to talk with them. But after 20 minutes, it's done. But like the real audio professors, they know, and they're working for the company, they know, and they probably get paid to shut the fuck up, or I don't know. But it is what is going to happen. There will be a V2, and it will be even better. And then I'm thinking, like, yeah. What's the deal?
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of it like that. But yeah, you're totally right. I mean, obviously, I met Steven in January and I talked to him about it. And yeah, he was like, it's exactly as advertised. It does just what it says, so he was really nice. He's from New Jersey. So we sort of connected on that.
I think when I will meet him for the first time, he will probably first kick me in the face and then have a good conversation. So
you gave their plugins a good review. I mean, you didn't like the tape machine emulator, but I thought on the regular.
But their plugin bundle that I reviewed with the EQ, it was actually pretty good, and that's what I said. Like I can EQ and kick with this. What I meant with this is like I can really create a good sound from this. What I don't like is their user interface. But I think in general Slate is pretty on point with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
And the Raven, the big touchscreen thing from them, it's the best idea ever. I don't know how it works, but it's the best idea ever. Like
I would love to have that thing.
It's. But I don't know if it functions correctly or whatever. But in general, like the ID, great. Like take my money.
I've been in one studio with it, and it works just like it should work. You can turn the knobs, but I mean, obviously your fingers touch a screen, but you turn it and you fader and all this stuff. It was really cool. It was definitely like the studio of the future. That's how I was like, this is so futuristic. I mean, when I was in school, like we were working on an SSL G series. So, I'm used to turning all the knobs and stuff. And it was nice to do that again, even though you didn't have anything in your fingers. It was nice to sort of reach around the screen and sort of get your arms active again. It was just, but it's definitely the future. Like right now, that kind of technology.
That's the interesting thing about Slate. Like on one side, you have the products that I'm like, but I cannot talk about it because I don't know it yet. But on one side, you have the products that I'm like, and on the other side, you have the products like, whoa! Like, I think that. Does that explain it?
I think it does, and I think this is probably an awesome place for us to sort of wrap it up. So, you guys, if you haven't watched his channel, definitely go dig around. He's, like I said, coming up on 3 years in August. It's August 16th because I was just looking earlier, and so, but it's cool, man. We like I said at the top, it was when I discovered you on YouTube, because like I don't watch anybody else either. I don't watch any of the other channels because for whatever reason, but yours I actually watch. I'm a subscriber. I actually watch. I get the notifications when your videos come out and I totally watch them because I'm curious to hear your opinions on stuff. I'm curious to hear the tech stuff. I think one of the things that White Sea does the best is explaining the true technical aspects of recording.
I try. Let's just say I try.
Yeah, because most people don't, or when it really does truly annoy me when I watch other tutorials and I'm like, that is just technically incorrect about like whatever topic it may be. But I've seen it.
Not that I'm always technically correct, but I just try to be like most of my things come from my experience. So sometimes it's not technically correct, but it's from the experience point of view, it's correct. So,
but you also preface it that way. Like you will say this came from experience, or I learned this from years of doing it, or whatever. But when you do go to the technical sides of stuff and you start describing and talking about that stuff, you're really good at teaching. And I think that's something that a lot of my viewers, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I know a lot of people have sort of grown up with my channel and watched it and have graduated away from GarageBand and use Logic or Pro Tools now. So but they still watch my channel for other reasons. But I would encourage all of you guys, especially if you're getting to a more advanced level of recording, to check out White Sea Studio, because that's the channel that I'm watching, and I think you guys can all benefit a lot, as much as I have for sure. Just go check it out, because it's an awesome channel. They do a lot of good things over there. The reviews are really good. The tutorials are really good. And I think you guys could all get a lot of good stuff out of it. So, White Sea, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. I really appreciate it. I'm hoping, I've been doing this longer than anybody on YouTube. And like now my channel's sort of like on the decline, like not like it was 6 years ago or whatever. So, it's nice. I hope this sort of boosts me up a little bit.
Make a very good clickbaity thumbnail. Put my face in it. Put snake oil in it.
Yeah.
Make the title.
Is he a really good YouTuber?
Yeah. Make the title something like that. Don't do like an interview with White Sea Studio. Don't do that. Like make a title like, okay, let me think, because the guys that are watching already know the title. Is White Sea Studio really snake oil?
Oh, that's good. There you go.
They will click on it.
And on that note, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you later, all right? Peace and love.
Bye. Keep pushing.